paying for that. So these guys have set themselves up very, very nicely to say, you know what? We're just operating as an IT company here in the United States of America, and they are it looks like the top center of all information coming through the internet. Stratford Corporation is. Now, this is Parker Media. Parker Media is on Molly Maroney's resume. She worked at Parker Media. Then she worked at Stratford as an intern. And then, I guess, once they had her all set and done, they could stick a fork in her like she was a done hot dog, and they sent her on to Senator Whitmire of the Texas Senate. And she went to work there from June 2010 to June 2011. And what do you think she was doing there? Well, she says here that she compiled and analyzed pertinent news into packets twice daily for the senator, answering phones, just doing stuff like that, right? And do you think she was reporting anything back to Stratford? What do you think? Do you think she had a special little dial-up, or she says, hey, this guy's diddling little boys in the back room. We just wanted to enter that into the Stratford database. You think she was reporting? Okay? Now, you need to understand that these overlapping times that exist on her resume and the conflicts that exist on her LinkedIn, that she was working for Stratford, Parker Media, and all at the same time working for Senator Whitmire of the Texas Senate. January 2010, she was working for Parker Media until January 2011. Okay, you got these dates? She was working for Senator Whitmire of Texas, June 2010 to June 2011. She was working for Parker Media, a known Stratford operation. You understand me? While she had her seat filled answering phones for Senator Whitmire. She was a known, trained CIA asset, right? Well, no, Alex Jones is going to come back. He's going to say, no, she was answering phones, and she was just an intern, conservatively an intern. That's it. Right, that's what he's going to say. Really, Alex? Well, it also says here, on this Molly Maroney's resume, clearly displayed in the public, okay, that one of her published works just so happened to be China cyber espionage and U.S. national security. Wow. Was she answering phones? While Stratford was sending emails to Parker Media executives, Richard Parker and Patrick Boykin, she was working at Parker Media. These folks were all connected at the time that the stupid thing hit WikiLeaks. Do you understand that? And guess what she was doing for Parker Media? Literally working on a white paper that's going to be published, and it's actually being dissected. And this is really, really important, but I'm not going to read to you every single page. All right? But for the U.S. government, what it says on her resume here, I'm going to read this to you directly, so I don't want to misquote it. She said that Richard Parker was the one who actually did this report, and she did the research. Molly Maroney is listed as doing the research on this white paper for the Patriot majority to send to the U.S. Congress on July 7th, 2010. July 7th, 2010. She was at Senator Whitmire's office on June 10th, 2010, by the way. Just wanted to let you know that. But she finished the report, and it went to media. Executive summary. Listen to this, okay? And you're going to see a copy of this document published. In the first few months of 2010, the attention of U.S. leaders in both business and government was drawn to the issue of cybersecurity and hacking of both private sector and public sector computing infrastructure by unknown parties believed to be in China. Yet neither news reports nor government briefings have identified the parties responsible for these breaches. The U.S. Senate, as a result, overwhelmingly passed a resolution sponsored by Senator Tim Kaufman asking the government in Beijing conduct its own investigation of these intrusions and make these results known. To date, the Chinese government has not complied and has responded only by saying that hacking in China is illegal. Indeed, it has challenged accusers to prove their case. This report literally talks about cybersecurity breaches being part of an unprecedented wave of intelligence gathering in the United States, Chinese military authorities, political implications, reconnaissance, surveillance, espionage. This chick was a spy who dug up all of this research to report to Congress. She researched all this information in her own report and published it on her resume. Then guess what she did? Then after her dirty little duty with Senator Whitmire, yeah, you thought she was delivering cupcakes to the break room at Senator Whitmire's office. No. You know what she was doing? She was probably trying to intercept emails, like from Tila Tequila. Maybe a Tila Tequila email went to Senator Whitmire's office. What did she do? She intercepted it, kind of like how she does it over there at Infowars.com, right? She's supposed to be answering phones and supposed to be going through news reports, but any Tila Tequila emails that come through, I get all those. I'll respond to those. So she's handling all the tough stuff. She knows how to do that because she's a specialist in cybersecurity. You see what I'm saying? So her dirty little deeds, while she's swinging a hip for a buck over at Senator Whitmire's office, continued on. She actually spent as a self-employed person, a graphics design individual. She actually worked as a graphics design person. I'm going to read this to you. Freelance graphic design, self-employed, May 2012 to July 2012 for 3 months. And guess who hired her with all of this information on her resume? She is now, ladies and gentlemen, the editor-in-chief for Infowars.com. Hired her after 3 months as a self-employed person doing graphic design. What is her primary background right now based on everything I just told you? What do you think it is? We're going to take a brief break. You think about that. I need to get a drink of water. I'll be right back. Short break. What I'm doing is not treasonous. It's actually the most patriotic thing I can do is to expose the truth for the people that if they knew, if every single one of his tens of millions of listeners knew that Alex Jones's Infowars.com was compromised by a known CIA analyst who is a researcher on cybersecurity and national security and all that stuff, working and intercepting emails about things like, you know, is Tila Tequila, is it important? Well, this is what I believe to be important. Does she have skeletons in her closet? Sure. All the trolls bring those out all the time to detract you from the fact that Tila Tequila knows of crimes that were committed by the people, by her handlers, that have people that have handled her all of her life. They've committed crimes, and she holds that. And she's not going to come forward with it with very many people. And Alex Jones sucked some information from her, as he normally does. And he feeds that to Stratford, you see? And then they say, oh, no, pull the plug. I mean, I don't understand how this works, but it's just miraculous how Tila Tequila, she gives all the information to Alex Jones. Next thing you know, half hour before her interview, she gets pulled. Pete Santilli, he gives all of his information to Alex Jones. 1 hour before the show, he gets pulled from the show. Everybody says, oh, your feelings were hurt. No, they weren't. I was very, very suspicious, especially when I find out from an IRS agent who's also a whistleblower said, Santilli, that dude's dirty, man. Okay? He did the same thing to me. That's his pattern over and over again. We supplied him with information for a year. He said he was going to put us on the air. We finally figured out he was a flake. Something was up with him, so we bypassed him. We ended up going on the AP. We got our information about a multi-billion-dollar scam that was going on at the IRS, and we exposed it through the Drudge Report. Alex Jones, what did he do? He said, I was too busy. You were too busy for the past year sucking information from them, feeding it to Stratford, maybe? Question mark? That's my opinion. I think that's what he was doing. Why? Because here's what I think, ladies and gentlemen. I think Alex Jones is, and this is my opinion, based on the information that I have, this is factually correct, based on the recorded hours from people that have shared this with me, saying, Pete, you're the only guy that's going to go up against Alex Jones, so I'm going to share this with you. He's a dirty businessman. He shut my business down. I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. That guy is ruthless. He's nasty. He will do anything. He'll sell his wife for $1. So Alex Jones has overhead that he's already indicated that he can't manage. So he would sell his pipeline of all of these patriots that are plugging information into his system, and he would definitely sell that to Stratfor. And this is my opinion based on the information that I've gathered. And I'm giving him credit at this point to say that I don't think that the CIA would ever let his blubbering ass near them. I don't think he would. But would they use him? They sure would. They'd love to pay for that pipeline. They'd love to have a direct feed of all the information that's coming into Planet InfoWars. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Planet InfoWars LLC terms of use and privacy policy is right here in front of me. Okay? And I'm going to share with you some of the excerpts from it. And I want you to know how serious this is. All right? In section 3.2, it says, and I'm going to give you excerpts here, okay? We may use your personal identifying information, okay, when complying with an order from, let's say, other government entities, right? Could it be Stratfor? Who knows? What qualifies as a government entity? I don't know. But let's go further into his privacy policy. And this is his own. This isn't me, okay? I'm not making this up. This is factually correct. This is from his privacy policy. He says 3.4, we use cookies, log files, and third parties to create a profile of our users, and the information gathered is personally identifiable as belonging to you. End quote. 3.7 says that any information that you disclose to third parties on our website or other websites becomes public information. And you should exercise caution when deciding to disclose any personal information. So essentially, all information that you're plugging into his system, he says it's all public and it's going to go to a third party. And if they're a government entity, you lose all of your rights. Even his own policy gives him the right to take that pipeline or that file, that database of all of his users and just give it to Stratfor. They love that. And being that I know that he's an opportunist, okay, and it has come to me, and this opinion is derived based on factual information that has taken place over years. People have come to me and have told me what he's done on the business side. He would easily transfer that information in exchange for getting maybe some intelligence information from Stratfor, right? That could be a possibility. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we now know that this man, over the years, based on the people that have come to me, based on all of the documented evidence that I have of his unsavory, unethical, unfair business practices, and the way he goes in and he basically steals other operations, has them shut down, box the people out, turn down the radio stations. He removes himself. He remains detached. He has guys like Wes, who live in one of his houses rent-free so that he can work in his operation, work directly for Alex Jones, while Wes is a partner on another operation that he wants to shut down. So he tells Wes, just go ahead and switch everything over to your name and box that other guy out and let him lose a couple $100,000. You see? That's how that goes. That's how it hits the streets. Maybe Wes called me and told me this. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I have it all on recording, because that person says, I just need some protection because he's just a dirty, rotten, you know what? Read and listen to everything and only believe what you've researched yourself. So when this stuff is brought to me, I research it, okay? And I go to WikiLeaks and I take a look at Richard Parker at Stratfor.com, who's also getting an email CC'd to rparker@parkermedia.com, who is also working side by side with this researcher, Molly Maroney. And then I also pulled a document that she cites on her resume that says China's cyber espionage and U.S. national security white paper for the U.S. government, talking about, look at this thing. Look at this freaking disgusting thing that this chick is working on when she's hiding behind her answering phones over there at Infowars.com, okay? This paper focuses on China, America's top economic competitor, and home to an increasingly impressive military force. She's writing about military forces, okay? You can make mistakes. You can say, you know what, I used to be a CIA analyst, but I quit that job. And I put that on my resume. I no longer wanted to be a CIA analyst. No, what you do is you hide. And you say that you're a graphic designer who's working in a completely separate department that's not affiliated with Alex Jones. And somebody else hired him. That's going to be the next story. Well, somebody else hired her. I didn't hire her. Really? That doesn't change the fact, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the fact. Here's my point. Okay? Alex Jones may not even be the one that hired her. But guess what? Doesn't change the fact we have a mole inside at Infowars.com. So if it's true that you didn't hire her, why don't you fire her? Why don't you do that? Show that to your listeners. That could change things. Then you won't have a mole. Then we could show that, you can say, you know what? I'm sorry for two things. I'm sorry that I said last week when Peter Santilli brought it to the forefront, let them rape women. I'm sorry I said that. And I'm also sorry that I hired a CIA analyst. And I'm also sorry that I closed businesses down, just basically strangulating people by having West live in one of my houses, and I just screw everybody. Okay? I'm sorry I did all that stuff. And Mr. Jones, come clean. And then guess what? Your listenership's just going to go through the roof, dude. Seriously, you'll be the one guy that has the high integrity in our entire system, and that's leadership that I can follow. But if you don't do that, you better protect your balls. Can it be disputed in any way, shape, or form? Ladies and gentlemen, right now, here is the fact that I'm presenting to you right now. Molly Maroney worked for Stratfor, worked for Parker, same thing. I've proven that the two are the same, and I have documentation of such. That she worked for a senator's office for whatever reason, I don't know, but now she works internally at Infowars.com. Now, let me ask you this. If Susanna Cole was a CIA analyst, would you believe anything that came out of this place? If Ashley Jones was a known assassin working for the CIA, and she's in our chat room, would you trust this place? Would you trust the integrity of what I'm telling you every single day? Probably not. Would I want you to expose Ashley Jones and Susanna Cole? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd want you to come forward with it no matter what, because I will have no part of that. Now, I'm using that as an example, but I'm talking about the integrity of the truth movement, the integrity of the 9/11 truth movement is now contaminated by a CIA analyst. Do you understand that? Do you understand the importance and significance of what I'm exposing here today? Now, I want you to help me in the following way. These facts are indisputable. Indisputable. There is no disputing this. There's no argument. You can't go up against me. You can call me. You can yell at me and say, Pete, everything you just said is not true. Okay, you can shout all you want. It's true. It's indisputable. This is a matter of high public importance, is it not, Susanna Cole?
It is, because it's like you said, he reaches tens of millions of people on a daily basis. He brags about that, and he has websites that you go to and you put every piece of information about yourself in that website. They know exactly what your mindset is, what you're thinking, what's on your mind. And it's like Suzanne Posel said, not only do they have all of your information, but they're also analyzing you. Okay. They're looking at how you think and what your reaction is to things and what your point of view is. And, it's really dangerous stuff. We know this. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here, I know, but you guys are smarter than that. And, since you're on his website already and he already has your information, you need to put it to some use, and you need to go on, Prison Planet, if you are a part of that, and get this information out there until they shut you down. And believe me, he will shut you down.
He will shut you down. Actually, the girl, Ms. Sherry Lee, she was shut down, and they also went after her YouTube accounts. So this is what I would like you to do as well, is I want you to replicate this YouTube broadcast. I want you to download this MP3, okay? Because literally, I mean, I'm going to share something with you very, very serious, okay? The Central Intelligence Agency has a lot of guns, right? We already know that. They have people that they hire with a lot